Welcome. Today we're going to take a look at some rhetorical strategies. These are tools that writers can use to persuade their readers. So for some of these strategies, you can also use these in creative writing, but for our purposes today, we're just going to discuss these in the context of persuasive writing. So let's start with the first one, which is simile. A simile is a comparison that uses the word like or as. And the reason it works is that it captures the reader's attention. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. Our first one here is she is as strong as an ox. We've got that word as in here twice. It's making the comparison between she, the girl, and the ox. Our second example, Sam's hair is as straight as a board. We've got the as word used here twice, making the comparison between Sam's hair and a board. We can visualize what Sam's hair must look like. And then our final example, those kids fought like cats and dogs. Our comparison word we're using here is like, making the comparison between the way that cats and dogs fight and the way that these particular kids fight. So that's simile. Let's take a look at metaphor. Metaphor is very similar to simile. It is a comparison that does not use like or as. So if you see either of those words like or as, you know that's a simile. If you don't see those words, then we're talking about metaphor. And again, it works because it captures the reader's attention. Let's take a look at some of these examples. She is an ox. So rather than saying that she is as strong as an ox, we're breaking this down to she is an ox. So we're still making the comparison, but we're removing those words like and as to do that. Sam's hair is board straight. So we've got the word here board. So we're making that comparison between Sam's hair, how straight that Sam's hair is, and a board. And then our final example, those kids were cats and dogs fighting. So we don't use the word like or as here to make that comparison between the way that the kids were fighting and the way that cats and dogs are fighting. All right, that's metaphor. Let's take a look at repetition, which is sometimes called Anadiplosis. Repetition is an awful lot easier, but I want you to be familiar with the term in case you ever run across it. What this is it's a rhetorical repetition that persuades by repeating words and similar ideas. And it works because it emphasizes a point. So let's take a look at a couple of examples here. Dave's solution is to repaint the house that looks like it's haunted. We've got this repetition here with the house, and it's right up next to each other. He is repainting, his solution is to repaint the house, comma, the house that looks like it's haunted. So it's that repetition. It puts that house back into mind for you. Emphasizes that point. Our next example, the school's only goal is learning. When students are learning, they want to achieve their goals. So here we've got two words that are repeated. Learning are the two uses of learning, though, here at the end of the first sentence and kind of in the middle here of the second sentence. Those are closest. We do have goals that are repeated as well. So then we've got goal and learning both connected to the school and connected to the student. Okay? It's that repetition that emphasizes the point. And again, here we've got the hockey team won every goal, and every goal counted. So we've got this goal that's being repeated here at the in the middle point of the sentence, and then here toward the end of the sentence. So when we're repeating words or repeating similar ideas, we can use that to our advantage to help emphasize a point and convince our readers. Let's take a look at another strategy. So this is alliteration. With alliteration, what we're doing is we're repeating a consonant in a phrase or sentence. And the reason that this works is that sound can be appealing, especially when it's catchy or lyrical. Let's take a look at a couple of examples here. She sells seashells at the seashore. Oh my gosh. So we've got this S sound that's repeated throughout this whole sentence. And that kind of repetition can be really appealing to people. It really can catch their attention. Our second example here, Frances faked her fall to cash in the insurance money. We've got 3 F's here, Frances, faked, and fall. Okay, it immediately pulls your attention into that part of the sentence. And really, when we have those 3 words, Frances, faked, and fall, we've got the information that we need. We know that Frances was faking the situation. Okay. And our final example here, Peter's plants paled in comparison to Paula's garden. So again, we've got this repetition of this sound. We've got the P sound here. Peter's plants paled Paula's. And if we were to remove all of the other words and we just had those 4 words, Peter's plants paled Paula's, we've actually got all the information that we need. So this can be really appealing to readers by using alliteration. That's another strategy. Another strategy to use is rhetorical questions. So when you ask a question that may or may not be answered in your piece, that is a rhetorical question. The reason that this works is that it causes the reader to consider an idea on their own. So here are a couple of different examples. Have you ever wondered, when did scientists first know about climate change? So just asking that question at some point within your piece can cause your reader to wonder, hey, I wonder what the answer to that question is. A second example here, how has this problem persisted for so long? Again, that question causes your reader to consider the idea on their own. And finally, why have women been kept from entering the field? So these kinds of things, these rhetorical questions, you don't want to overuse them, but using them occasionally in a piece can be really powerful. Another strategy that we can use is personification. So personification is giving human characteristics to a non-human animal or object. And the reason that this is appealing is that it's an innovative way of looking at things. So our first example here, the thunder shouted across the sky. Well, thunder doesn't literally shout, people shout. But by using the verb in that way, we've personified thunder. Another example, the waves massaged our feet. Although it certainly may feel like the waves are giving us a massage, that's not what's actually happening. We're using this verb here, massage, to describe waves in a different way, and it's personifying waves. And finally, our example here, the cats whined like children. So if you live with cats and children at any point in your life, you may know that the 2 groups sometimes make similar noises. So sometimes cats can whine in a manner that sounds like children, and we can personify those cats by using a verb that normally would be reserved for humans. All right, our final example, our final strategy is euphemism. So with euphemism, what we're doing is we're using a more sensitive word or phrase than a literal or casual one. We tend to live in a very casual society, and sometimes we have words that are really only appropriate for close relationships where we can use casual language. And so oftentimes we need to replace those out with a more professional words. This is appealing to your readers because it appeals to people's emotions and offers a more professional tone. Let's take a look at some examples here. So instead of using the phrase, the dead guy, it's more appropriate to use the euphemism, the departed gentleman. You can see how that's more professional there. Another example, instead of using the old people, again, that's a bit casual and it might be literally true, but it's a bit insensitive. So we could use the mature population instead. It's a different euphemism for saying something similar, but it's saying it in a nicer way, more professional way. And in our last example here, instead of ugly dog, which might be a person's opinion of a particular dog, instead you could say something like the unfortunate looking dog. It's a little bit nicer. So euphemism can really appeal to people's emotions because it's putting a more professional tone on words and phrases that you're using. So these are some rhetorical strategies you can use in your writing Typically, you'll use these in persuasive writing. Again, these certainly can work in creative writing, but you can use these to persuade your readers to agree with you. I hope this is helpful and good luck with your writing.